Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great Christmas or other holiday celebration. It was a bit of a weird year with COVID restrictions and all, but not too different, really. Credit to modern communications technology. Money is the bigger deal right now for me and many others, but that's what $10 gift limits are for. You tend to find some interesting presents when restricted, I find. I'm just glad all of my family are still here for Christmas. My heart goes out to those for whom that is not true. Anyway, I realized after the fact that I didn't actually say there would be no Christmas Day episode, so I hope that was assumed. No one wants to talk politics on Christmas, right? Apparently not, because there's been very little news out since our last. We do have a bit to explore, though. Let's get to it. Shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park and Shay Meehan, as well as all our other patrons. You're helping independent journalism and humanity first to all of our benefit. If you want to join these awesome advocates, head over to patreon.com/YangDaily. We just need a couple bucks a month from each person in our community to keep the movement informed and engaged. So the state of the economy remains in dire straits, and improvement has slowed to a crawl. The largest survey of diverse small businesses, fielded by the Reimagine Main Street Initiative, sampling over 8,000 business owners, finds that 10% expect to close permanently in the next 6 months, and 45% expect to lay off at least one employee. The human resource management company, Gusto, independently projects 1.4 to 2.8 million jobs lost through this winter. JP Morgan Chase's institute found that half of the remaining small businesses in operation have only enough cash to cover 27 days, and that minority-owned businesses are struggling the most. Job recovery has nearly flatlined. We're still 5 million jobs below pre-pandemic levels, and that does not even count the vast number of underemployed and those who left the workforce. While vaccines offer some hope, widespread distribution will take half a year, and the spread of COVID is worse than ever. Anyone thinking that the economy has recovered is not living in the real world. We need the federal government to do its job. America needs cash. Yang has come out in support of passing the COVID relief bill, as Trump vetoing the bill would essentially cut at least a week of the $300 bonus UI. Obviously, Andrew also urges Trump and Congress to pass more checks, but he clearly doesn't think that the bonus UI can be sacrificed. On the other hand, the GOP Senate will never be as pressured as they are right now to increase the checks. If Georgia goes badly, this may be the last stimulus that they allow. As such, I'd say it's reasonable to come down on either side of this. Either the stimulus gets delayed and reduced, or you lose your best chance at increasing it. The Senate has left no good options for the people. Are you pissed off at the Senate for refusing to increase the stimulus checks? Are you tired of them ignoring your calls and letters? Do you wish there was another way for you to legally harass them? Well, today's your lucky day. You know what's even harder to ignore? Facts. At the link below, you'll find the fax number for your senators. Spam them about cash relief. Make them listen to that annoying tone it makes. Waste their time, paper, and ink. It's all possible with Fax Machine. Call now. All right, I'm a bit late to this one, but Pam Keith, lawyer and former congressional candidate, has accused Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of sedition for his participation in the Texas lawsuit which attempted to discard the votes of millions of Americans, and she threatened to file a complaint with the Florida bar to ask that Gaetz be disbarred. She started a petition linked below with a list of perceived transgressions for why he does not deserve to practice law, but the biggest is certainly in joining that lawsuit in which one state asked the Supreme Court of the United States to disenfranchise millions of voters in other states and mandate how those other states should run their elections. The power of each state to manage their own election laws is explicitly protected by the Constitution, making it a frivolous embarrassment, which is why the court declined to take the case. The motive was also very clearly a partisan attempt to overturn a free and fair election. The lawsuit specifically targeted states where Trump had lost and ignored states where Trump had won, but where the same election laws had been used. The GOP in those states had also already brought the same objections before the state Supreme Courts and been thrown out. Whether the term sedition applies is arguable, but it's pretty clear that it was an attempt to subvert the Constitution through the courts in multiple respects. This is just the first of what will likely be more actions taken against the 126 Republican legislators and others who signed on to that case. And the GOP propaganda machine is playing its new and only act in Georgia. Warnock is being called a radical for an out-of-context comment about releasing people imprisoned for weed, and John Ossoff is being called a Chinese agent for disclosing involvement with dozens of media companies in his taxes a month late, one of which was a Chinese media company. It's incredible to me how the GOP uses the exact same propaganda against every single Democrat now, using out-of-context remarks, twisted facts, or wholesale lies to call them a socialist or communist, Chinese sympathizer, radical progressive, and pro-crime. And worst of all is that it works. Somehow GOP voters manage not to question how everyone in the other party is apparently an evil clone and certainly never bother to read their actual policy or listen to their remarks in context, or do a fact check on Google. I know a lot of Democratic voters are just as intellectually lazy, but holy cow, the neo-GOP is taking it to a new level of groupthink. Ironically, very similar to the communist mentality that they supposedly fear. And speaking of Georgia, we've got another free ride to the polls option. If you need transport to and from the polls in Metro Atlanta, Macon, Augusta, Savannah, Columbus, or Albany for early voting up through the end of this month, or on Election Day, January 5th, you can now call New Georgia Project at 1-800-874-1541, listed in the links in the transcript as always. And that's it. They'll arrange a ride for you at no cost. Can't beat free, right? Make sure you and everyone you know have a plan to vote. Finally, I'm sorry to report that a prolific YangGanger known as Juanito to most, or Pry-Wan to some, has passed on, suffering a fatal overdose from fentanyl. Juanito struggled with drugs after returning from military service, but that didn't stop him from campaigning his heart out for Yang in the primary. I didn't know him personally, but he was an ardent volunteer and well known among the community. Apparently, there were some rumors that stirred up some resentment toward him from inside the YangGang and may have contributed to his depression. If so, that is also a tragedy. I won't wade into any details because I don't have them, so I'll just say that criticism and bullying are different beasts, and misinformation is always the enemy. Humanity first, always. Rest in peace, Juanito, and thank you for fighting for a better future. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the economy article. Fax, call, and write your senator. Call the number in the links if you need a ride to the polls. Don't forget to put in your half hour a day of phone banking or text banking to support the efforts in Georgia. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way. And don't forget to Yang Daily.